Hello everyone, I'm Dre Capel. I'm from the Indian Creek Circles 4-H Club in Maxwell, Iowa, and I'm from Story. And my presentation is about autism and life. New studies show that 1 in every 88 kids now has autism. So I feel like this is an important topic to talk about because the number of autistic kids is rising at a rapid rate. And I think people need to know how autism affects young children. Autism is one of a series of serious developmental disorders called Autism Spectrum disorders. And although the symptoms vary, there's a complete inability to communicate, and symptoms usually show up before the age of 3. There are 5 disorders on the autism spectrum. They are the classical autistic disorder, Asperger's disorder, childhood disintegrative disorder, Rett's disorder, and pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. The most severe of these is autistic disorder, while Asperger's and EDD and OS are 2 milder disorders. Childhood disintegrative disorder and Rett's disorder are very rare, so they're considered separate medical conditions. Autism affects 3 areas of development. Those are social interaction, language, and behavior. Autism varies widely in severity of symptoms, so 2 kids with the same diagnosis can be very different. Symptoms with social interaction: they may fail to respond to his or her name. They may make poor eye contact with people. They may appear to ignore you at times. They may actually avoid human contact like touching. They may be unaware of others' emotional feelings. And they prefer playing alone instead of playing with other children. Language symptoms: they may not talk until they're after 2 years old. They may have other developmental delays by 30 months of life. They may lose ability to say words or sentences that they previously acquired. They may make no eye contact when they make their requests. They may speak with an abnormal tone. They may have the inability to start a conversation. And they have echolalia, which they repeat words or phrases. Behavior symptoms: they may include repetitive movements. They have specific routines, and then when there's a change in routine, they have trouble adjusting to it. They may have to move constantly. They may be fascinated by parts of an object like wheels on a toy car, and it may be too sensitive to light, sound, and touch. There are likely to be many causes of autism. One of them may be genetics. There are a number of genes that are associated. They may make the child more susceptible to the disorder. They may also determine the severity of the disorder. And some causes of autism may seem to be inherited, while others happen to be inherited spontaneously. Another one can be in the environmental. Like most diseases, they are usually caused by both generic and environmental factors, and that is the case with autism for the most part. Scientists are trying to study if viral infections and air pollutants can trigger off autism. And vaccines: there has been no reliable study that coordinates vaccines and autism. There is controversy about the measles, mumps, rubella vaccination in autism. In 1998, there was a study that theorized this, but that's been retracted due to little evidence to support that theory. The diagnosis: there is no specific medical test. Your doctor will check for signs of developmental delays, and if he feels like there are some delays in development, he will refer him to an autism specialist. The specialist, along with other professionals, will observe the child. Since there is no specific test, it is difficult for him to make a diagnosis. So what he does is that he will observe the child, and he will talk to the parents about the child's social and behavior development, and the child may undergo some additional tests on speech, language, and psychological issues. Treatment, there is no cure right now, but there is intervention and therapies. The earlier you do intervention and therapies, the more benefit it would go for the child. Some doctors may prescribe some medications for some symptoms like depression, anxiety, and severe behavioral issues. Some parents might put their kid through some dietary modifications like lactose and gluten-free diets. They feel like there is a link to autism in certain diets and foods and medications. There are some few controversial therapies out there, but few, if any, are supported by scientific research. There's one called chelation, where they remove the heavy metals from the body, and there's the use of Lupron, which is used to treat prostate cancer patients, and that is to use for mercury and testosterone levels in the body. These are some famous people from written record that have autistic symptoms. They don't necessarily had autism, but from written record, these are people with autistic symptoms. I was diagnosed severely autistic before I turned 3 years old. My parents were told that I met the educational definition, that had social and speech delays, but I had no physical symptoms like flapping of the hands or rocking. When I turned 3, I started going to an all-day, everyday preschool in a neighboring school district. I was able to then transition to kindergarten in my own school district. I had a one-on-one associate through 3rd grade, and I had a speech therapist through 4th grade. I also used picture exchange communication system, where you communicate through these instead of through words. That helped my autism. And I'm very fortunate that I'm going to lead a normal life, and what I mean by that is I plan to go to college, get a job, and then I can be able to live my own. Hopefully, you guys learned a little bit more about autism today. It is a serious brain developmental disorder that affects 1 in every 88 kids. There is no cause or cure, but there are various treatments to help improve the symptoms of autism. I'd just like to tell you that the month of April is Autism Awareness Month. Here are 3 websites that you guys can go to if you want to learn a little bit more about autism, or if you make a donation to any of these charities. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? The question was, the question was, what is the major source for my presentation out of these 3 sources? I think the Mayo Clinic was the major one. I also like to tell you that I do have pins like the one I'm wearing out here. Feel free to grab these. These also have the sheet with 3 websites you can go to. Also feel free to come up here and look at the picture board if you want to after I'm done answering questions. Any more questions? The question was, has my condition really caused any bullying in my life? No. Not for me, anyway. The question was what activities I'm involved in my school. I'm involved in a few sports like cross country and golf. I'm involved in band. I'm the club president in my 4-H club. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you guys.